A liqueur is an alcoholic beverage made from a distilled spirit that has been flavored with fruit, cream, herbs, spices, flowers or nuts and bottled with added sugar or other sweetener, such as high fructose corn syrup. Liqueurs are typically quite sweet. They are usually not aged for long after the ingredients are mixed, but may have resting periods during their production to allow flavors to marry. In the United States and Canada, where spirits are often called liquor, pronounced with stress on the first rather than the second syllable, there is often confusion over liqueurs and liquors, especially as many spirits today are available in flavored form, e.g., flavored vodka. The most reliable rule of thumb is that liqueurs are quite sweet and often syrupy in consistency, while liquors are not. Most liqueurs have a lower alcohol content, 1,530% ABV, than spirits, but some contain as much as 55% ABV. In parts of the United States, liqueurs may also be called cordials or schnapps, while in large parts of the British Commonwealth, cordial means a concentrated non-alcoholic fruit syrup that is diluted to taste and consumed as a non-carbonated soft drink. And in Germany and Scandinavia, schnapps means a form of brandy or aquavit.
Welcome back inside the kitchen door. Today we'll be making some fennel blossom liqueur. We have these really wonderful fennel blossoms just picked from a garden out in Madrona, a little close to the restaurant here. I'm going to be stuffing these into this bottle here and filling it up with a neutral spirit. Again, you want a nice clean spirit like an Absolute vodka, something that's at a mid price point, still of good quality, and isn't going to introduce too much other flavor into your liqueur. It's a very simple technique, just stuffing the bottle with the blossoms. Again, these blossoms have really rich, sweet, fragrant, floral accent to them. Add a little sugar to the bottle, probably about a half cup in total. Don't want it too sweet, but just enough to where it's going to actually carry the flavor of the fennel. Now, if you're just going to use straight vodka without using any sugar, the flavor is going to be pretty flat. The sugar, like when you make a simple syrup, helps to sustain and carry through all the flavors in the fennel as opposed to just one or two flat notes that the vodka will pick up itself. So a little more sugar there. Another important note to think of when you're infusing liqueurs, you want to be using an all glass bottle. If you use a plastic container, that's going to pick up a lot of flavors. It transfers flavors of what might have been in there before as well. And also it's just not very good for storage. So for example, for all of our juices that we use in the restaurant, we use strictly glass bottles to store them in and pour from. You really want to pack this fennel in here. Again, the more you get in, the more flavor. So even though this particular bottle will hold about a fifth and a half of alcohol, we're probably only going to get about 3/4 of a bottle worth of liqueur out of it in the end because of how much of this fennel blossom we're stuffing into it. Pack it in real tight. And at this point we'll add our Absolute vodka. Okay, and I'm going to cap this off and bring it over to our immersion circulator. That's going to infuse it over the process of about an hour. It's going to very gently heat it at the temperature below which alcohol boils. Again, I'm just stirring this like so to dissolve that sugar and make sure everything's incorporated. So I'll bring it over to the circulator here. Very simply drop it in. And what that's going to do is just cause it to steep like a tea would, for example. Now, if I was just going to let that sit for a week or 2 weeks to infuse, it's really going to break down that fennel. It's going to start tasting vegetal, kind of like grass clippings, and this is just going to steep it really quick. We'll strain it out, and then it'll be ready to use and store for about the next month or so. So we've pulled our fennel liqueur from the water bath. It's been about an hour and a half in there, and it's ready to go. I'm going to open this up and just drain it into another bottle. It's important that you drain it the same day as you infuse it so that you can store it in the refrigerator for future use. It'll last for a month or two before it starts to break down. Wow, I'm just getting this really wonderful fresh fennel aroma coming at me as I drain this bottle. You can see it has a very similar color to an absinthe. Has that nice, vibrant, yellowish tinge to it. Now the way we serve this in the restaurant is just as an aperitif. We'll just be pouring it over ice, giving it a little stir. It'll louche in the same way that an absinthe does, being that it has all the essential oils from the fennel blossoms in there. I just like to do a little zest of lemon on the top and serve it as is. So I have these, actually this is a Riedel bourbon glass. We actually like using them for serving liqueurs as well, for aperitifs, etc. It's kind of a versatile glass that is a nice and sexy way to serve these. So you can see that immediately just start to cloud up in the same way that an absinthe would. Just going to give this a quick little stir. And being as this is vodka based and not higher proof, we don't really need to dilute it as much as we would if we were actually serving an absinthe. So I just like to do a little zest of lemon over the top, around on the glass, and that will be that. So I'm just going to give this a quick taste here. It's wonderful. It's fantastic. That is our fresh fennel liqueur, a technique you could probably use in your bar as well.
It's National Liqueur Day, and you might want to take a sip after you hear the list that your favorite vacation spot landed on. Brian McElhatton goes around town.
When you hear someone say liqueur, do you think they're being pretentious? Well, they might be, but before you hang them out to dry, you might want to see if they're right, because there is a big difference between liquor and liqueur.
Liquor is like vodka, gin, tequila, bourbon, where liqueur is they take a neutral grain spirit, maybe a cognac or something flavorful like that, and they infuse it and macerate it, fancy word for infuse, with fruits, berries, honey.
Ross Simon with Arizona Cocktail Week is the Lord of Liqueur, the master of mixology, an internationally acclaimed bartender, and he's right in our backyard. I couldn't pass up the opportunity to get a lesson in cocktail creation from this guy, so I hit him up for a few tips using the ingredient of the day, liqueur.
This drink here is called a Bramble. Basically, it was invented by the grandfather of cocktails in London called Dick Bradsell. It's fine because I just want a little bit of a bite. You don't want it too sweet or too sour.